and Joe Klein. So we've got 3 Joes. Yeah, we have Joe, and Joe.
Welcome to Delaware County.
Do you live in Delaware County?
I do.
Do you?
And Kara around the side at the Strand says if you come around, she'll give you free popcorn.
Governor, the Republicans are making much of the speech you gave in Cincinnati, saying you basically had a hard deal moment when in your speech you said that Republicans don't like Ohio very much and they don't like America very much. Do you mean that?
Yes, but you need to get the full context of what I said, Joe. I wasn't talking about their patriotism. I went on to talk about why I was saying that. They want to change the country. They want to change Ohio. That has nothing to do with their love for the country or their love of Ohio, but it has a lot to do with whether or not they like Ohio the way it is, or they like America the way it is. Some want to repeal the 14th Amendment. That's a pretty basic thing. That's a part of our country's history, tradition, and constitutional processes. Mary Taylor says that she has urged people to leave Ohio and move to Florida or Nevada or to some other state. So if you understand what I said within the context of what I was saying and how I was saying it, it's not what they're trying to make it. So,
well, you got a lot of Republican support in 06. They're going to present this as Governor Strickland says, you Republicans don't like this country.
Here again, Joe, I talked about the fact that moderate Republicans were being pushed out of their party, that the leadership of the Republican Party now was comprised of people that I think are on the extreme right wing of that party. I was not talking about all Republicans, and they know that, and I hope you can watch the total speech that I made rather than a particular snippet of it.
Would you consider John Kasich to be a zealot or a radical or extremist?
I consider his ideas radical, facing a major deficit, to suggest that we eliminate the income tax that provides between 40 and 50% of our total state revenue. That's a radical idea. It's much more radical than anything Ken Blackwell ever suggested, in my judgment.
Governor, you've seen the polls. They're not looking good for you.
I've seen some polls that are looking better than the Columbus Dispatch poll.
Well, are you fearful of becoming a victim of a climate over which you have no control?
Well, I'm fighting hard to keep that from happening, Joe. I mean, let me be straight with you. The political climate right now is a little like a salmon swimming upstream. But let me remind you, those salmon get upstream. They get to where they're going. And I think I'm going to get to where I need to be. I feel that I'm going to win this election. I am not, I'm not saying I'm going to in a carte blanche way, because I don't make, statements that I don't feel like I have some justification for making. But I am not 12 points behind. I think I am 3 to 5 points behind. That's my honest assessment right now. And I think that is even now beginning to close. And we've got some evidence that it is.
When Kasich was gaining points, when he was gaining ground, that was a period of time when you weren't on the air.
That's
you
right.
didn't have anyone on the air.
Yeah.
Are we going to see an aggressive push in the media?
I endured 6 straight weeks of unanswered television. Now, I could have been answering during that period of time. I think I've probably got $2.5 to $3 million more cash on hand than he has at this point. Part of campaigning is strategy. It's deciding when to use your resources and how to use your resources. And I chose not to use precious resources between July the 4th and Labor Day. A lot of people aren't paying attention then. There's a lot of traveling. I expected to have some erosion at that point. Television is a powerful tool, and when you are being criticized for 6 straight weeks without having a corresponding response, then you can expect to see an erosion of your support. We are now in the air, and I can tell you that we are starting to see, even now, a recovery of some of that lost ground, as we expected to have happen.
Your most recent ad, the last 2 words are, "Can you trust Kasich?" Well, I guess it's the last 4 words. So is that where we can expect you to be going with this? Are you going to veer away from this Wall Street message and go more to the things that you think Ohioans can't trust about Kasich?
Well, I mean, no, I'm not going to leave the Wall Street issue, because I think it is relevant. It's relevant in this way. I think Wall Street and what happened there and his participation in it is an indication of the kind of governor he would be. I think some of the things I talked about today, the double standard, having a set of rules for himself that he doesn't apply to anybody. When I was in Congress, I mean, I'm not saying this to boast about myself, but to show a difference. I returned over $40,000 in pay raises. I paid for all of my health insurance from 1992 until this very day. It cost me and Francis about $9,000 last year that I could have had subsidized. I've cut my own pay as governor. I've asked state employees to take 10 unpaid furlough days, without pay increases. I've tried to share in the experience of the people of the state of Ohio. And John Kasich, when he went to Congress, said he wasn't going to accept pay increases, but he did. This situation in Ohio State, I think, is the most telling thing about John Kasich's judgment. To have accepted those resources for so little work, and then to be so critical of others, and to say that, you've got to expect more work out of our teachers, that says to me that he thinks there's a double standard. There's a set of rules that apply to him, and a set of rules that apply to everybody else. I think that's relevant to the kind of governor he would be. And I think that's reflected in his suggestion regarding the Department of Development. He wants to take public tax dollars, give them over to a private not-for-profit, allow him to appoint 12 people of his choosing, not cap their salaries, not reveal their bonuses, using public tax dollars. I think that's another example of how he thinks he's in a special class, and it's okay for him to do that, but it wouldn't be okay for other people to do it. I mean, he can be pretty harsh talking about bureaucrats and, public servants, people who serve in government, without applying the same kind of assessment to himself and to people that he associates with. And
Sometimes the state government's $5,000 fewer. The state spends actually less money than it now did before you.
Yeah. Sounds like a Republican, don't I?
Well, exactly. When you talk to the Republicans, when you talk to the Kasich campaign about that, they say that's all well and good. People are not going to believe it in this kind of climate. They are not open to anything. They are not receptive to any kind of message. Things are better. You agree with that? And how do you combat it?
Things are what?
People are not receptive to a message that things are better because they don't feel it.
Well, better in relation to what? See, I mean, things are tough, Joe. Things are tough, and I acknowledge that. I would never minimize the pain that people are experiencing, and even those who may have a job and are doing okay right now are worried, certainly, because they've got kids, and they see. This is what I think a lot of people in this country are feeling. They feel as if they've really worked hard. And they've done, they felt like they built up some security for themselves and their families, and they feel like everything they've worked for is slipping away, and they wonder if anything can be done to prevent that from happening. Or they wonder if any political person is capable of doing anything about it. I think that's where a lot of people are, and I think that's where you sense that in the sort of a generalized anxiety and feelings of concern. And it's real. I mean, we have been living through an economy that I think some people try to minimize in terms of the difficulty. I think we came close to something that was catastrophic, and as I said, could have taken us decades to recover from. I think that's been prevented. I still think the economy's in a fragile set of circumstances, and that's why it's so important that we make the right kinds of decisions now and in the immediate future, because we're not out of the woods yet in terms of the economy.